Joining us from his automobile is from Sportsnet, Eric Francis. I thought you said you were going to be joining us from the Circle K Championship.
I am, but I had to go out in the parking lot to get video going. I don't want to stand there like a jackass in the middle of the rink, talking my ear off when there's an overtime game that I wouldn't want to be watching right now with your Pats.
Why wouldn't you do it from that? Like that, if anything, if we give you, what's the word I'm looking for? If you got the okay to do it, it's during an overtime game with the Pat Canadians right now. It's not like you'd be cheesy airport guy on your walking around in the airport lounge loud. That guy's annoying. From a hockey game, an overtime game, we would have given you the okay to do it. Have you been watching that game?
I just caught about 10 minutes, but then I had to pop outside here to do this. And then my son's in there watching right now. He'll tell me what a great game I missed, but that's okay. You're right. I should have stayed in there, but you guys, I didn't want to do video. Anyway, long story short, I'm at the Circle K. It's always going to be the Max Tournament. That's what I'll always call it because I'm old. And it's the best damn U18 tournament in the world. And, I got a ton of listeners. Anyone who played, good level hockey growing up there, would have been thrilled to come and partake in this tournament. Like all the greats in the NHL have all played in this tournament. And my son and I come every year, and it's just as good a hockey as you're going to watch. It's great.
Do we have an update splitter? Spoiler alert, anything? Regina Pat Canadians won in overtime.
Yes.
So wrap your head around this, Eric. Number 19 for the Regina Pat Canadians. We just did an interview with him and his father a couple of weeks ago here on the Sports Cage and the Monday Nooner podcast. Maddox Schultz, he is a second-year bantam. He should be playing against my son or with my son in the Bantam League. He exceptional status into the AAA League. He's leading the Saskatchewan AAA League in scoring. Fantastic.
Wow.
They're good paper. He scored the overtime winner, Harry. So you can chalk it up on the big board. 4 goals and 2 assists in this game against Pittsburgh. He's a bantam.
In a massive comeback.
What they call that?
They
call that a coming out party.
Yeah.
There's a special room here at this tournament for the scouts because everybody in the scouting world is here watching this. And you go out and do something like that at a tournament like this, that's big time. And just so people know, like the round robin portion ended yesterday. This is the first round of the playoffs in this tournament. They go 16 teams deep into the playoffs and it's the playdowns now. So that's a pretty important time for him to pull together something like that.
It is absolutely coming out party, as you said. Harry, when you go back to watching the Max tournament over the years, I had a chance to play in it, got a suspension, didn't get to go. What a loser. What a real loser.
Oh, yeah, no.
I know. I don't want to bring it up. It kills me to this day. But was there a final? Is there a game that you remember that was just epic? Did I lose him?
Oh, I got you there.
Okay.
Sorry,
I think you got to put your seatbelt on too. It was beeping. I said, is there one game?
I had to turn the car on. It's cold here.
Is there one game that you remember from the Max tournament watching it? You said you go every year. That's kind of been epic that you always go back to?
Yeah. It's funny you asked that. I covered this tournament for probably my first 15 years in Calgary. And I'll never forget Parise. Zach Parise was Shattuck St. Mary's. And by the way, every year they've ever come to the tournament, they've won every single time. They've never lost this tournament. Now, they come here with 8 or 9 18-year-olds, which is breaking the rules compared to all the other teams. But because they're such a big draw, and part of why it took so long to get here, getting a parking spot in this, the attendance here is off the charts. It's fantastic to see this city watch this. But anyway, going back to the final, they used to play it at the Dome, and it was Shattuck St. Mary's winning it for the second year in a row. Zach Parise got like 6 points in the final game. His brother was the goalie for Shattuck St. Mary's. He never went anywhere. He went and played college, but he didn't, make it pro. But it was my belief at that time that Parise I believe he played here, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years, but had the highest. He had something like 31 points, in 2 or 3 visits here. Like, it was insane. And I'll just never forget that performance, because I think he had 3 or 4 goals in the final against a formidable opponent, and he was the star of the game, and obviously went on to a stellar NHL career. And his dad was the coach, JP Parise. The Parise was famous for the 72 Summit Series.
Yeah. Yes.
He was in that. So
what do they talk about that a lot there? Because I'm starting to get it in Saskatchewan, and there's a couple of reasons why that I'm hearing. The Saskatoon Blazers have now declined invitations to go twice. Is what I heard from one parent was because you're there so long now. Like, it used to be when you were out, you got back on the bone shaker and back to Sasky. But now there's like a B and a C and a D and like a who cares cup. Like, it's like going to a golf tournament and like you lose out and then you're playing like the loser bracket or whatever. It's like, no, I'm just going home. But and there's that, and that these academies have the older kids, like you said, the 18, almost 19-year-olds. And then you talk about Shattuck, but the other one that's the up-and-comer that I hear, there's a female girl from Saskatchewan, Striker Zablocki, who is unbelievable, one of the best in her age and probably the world. She's at this Bishop Kearney in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're at the max. So I'm wondering what happens. Like, do you hear about them maybe limiting these teams to ages, or they probably can't do that?
It's been an ongoing debate. I do believe in past years they've said to Shattuck, like, we'd love to keep having you every year. You're a big draw. This is a big deal for you guys. It's a big deal for us. But you can't bring all your 18-year-olds. And then they go, their response, I was told years ago, was, well, then we won't come. So you want the big boys in town. This whole tournament was built on the backs of the local teams, giving them a chance to play against the best U18 players in the world. And so, if you're going to bring in the best like Shattuck, it's a great experience for the Calgary kids. Now, it's a very interesting point. So your stuff when it comes to this tournament. They changed the format this year because after the last couple of years, you were in a division of 4 for the round robin, and based on how you placed in that round robin, you were either in the A division, B, C, or D. So basically, if you lost one game, you couldn't possibly win the tournament. You could win the B or C or D final, but that's not why anybody comes here and pays $50,000 to do that. So the cost is a big deal. And what I was told was these teams basically said, we're not spending $50,000 to come here and lose one game and we're out for the team. So they changed the format this year. So now top 16 teams in the round robin all get into the playoffs, and they're seeded 1 through 16, and they play down like that, which is a way better way to do it. And so good you asked about that, because people weren't happy with it. So some teams were turning max aside or the Circle K aside in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I'd noticed the 16, the bracket now, and I'm like, okay, that's new. That's different. So that's what they're doing it. Okay, Harry, I sent this to you yesterday. Aaron Tatu, former junior and Husky goalie, U of S Husky goalie, sent this. So that COVID year, Eric, get this roster that the Saskatoon Contacts had. So if COVID wasn't a thing, someone didn't need a bat or whatever happened, and there would have been a max tournament that year, the Saskatoon Contacts would have went to that tournament with, get these names: Kalen Lind, Nashville Predators draft pick; Braden Yeager, captain of Team Canada; Riley Height, Minnesota Wild; Caden Price, one of the best defensemen for Canada so far at the World Juniors; a young Berkeley Catton, Chicago Blackhawks defenseman Kevin Korchinski, Toronto Maple Leaf prospect Noah Chadwick, and their goaltenders, WHL star last year Max Hildebrand, Ethan Chadwick, and like there's names on there too that aren't drafted that are playing college hockey. Like that Contacts team was robbed, Harry.
Yeah, just one of the casualties of that whole pandemic.
What's your take on the World Juniors so far, Eric? Be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I rarely am on this program. No, I'm not the biggest World Junior fan. I know I'm the only guy in Canada who says that, but like it doesn't overtake my life like it does for a lot of families. And I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. Like it's something that a lot of families literally look forward to, watching it together. And then you always hear the stories that, you know, the kids go and say, yeah, I grew up watching this every Christmas with my family and now I'm playing in it. Like it's a phenomenal tournament. I just find at Christmas time, I'm usually at this tournament at the Circle K watching this with my son out of the country, just having a holiday, and I don't watch hockey at all. So I've watched a couple games. The one game, I watched their first game, and then I watched the loss against Latvia. Like, I mean, again, knowing how much people put into this tournament, I'm surprised they didn't, you know, demand that the Prime Minister come back from his holiday to kind of address this awful situation where Canada lost. You know, there's going to be a summit for sure. It's one of those tournaments like all of them. The round robin doesn't mean a whole lot. I know that it can hurt you in terms of your positioning, but the goal, as everyone always says, is build as you go along. I'm not sure we've seen that though, because I haven't watched enough, but it doesn't sound like the result yesterday where they barely squeaked by and won 2-0. So anyway, I'm not going to give you a real educated kind of opinion on it other than to say I'll start digging in and watching a little more now. But, you know, it looks on paper like a hell of a team, but the way they've been playing is not what anyone's expected so far.
I think it's just come such a far way. We've come such a far way. Hockey has, to like where Harry and I were talking about, where Canada would play Norway, and like Norway would show up with different gear and their goalie, like there's better street hockey equipment out there, and they would get beat by 10 goals.
Yeah.
No, like, it was true. And then, and to be, it was never the big thing for me in my life. As a kid, it was. And then I was just like, why are we pounding our chests and jumping into the glass when we're demolishing these kids from Poland or Kazakhstan or wherever? Just, it didn't excite me. But now I love the fact that you don't show up, you can lose.
Yeah, it is great. And obviously the goal is to hopefully have the women's game get to that point at some point. And they've made some strides, but it's still a two-team tournament. This is, you know, it's still not anybody's game, nor should an international tournament be anybody's game. There are still 3 or 4 countries that are still just fill-ins. But every year, like what you tell me, 6 teams could win the gold in this tournament. That's pretty awesome. 6, 7 teams. I don't know how you guys would break it down, but the talent level is incredible. And I'm always blown away every year by Sweden. Like, what's their record over the last dozen years? I think they've lost 1 round robin game, and only have like I think 1 World Junior gold to show for it. So it's fascinating the way this tournament always shakes out.
Have you you wait till you watch the highlights of the Kazakhstan-Slovakia game when you get home. You got to watch how that one finished, because it was actually, just as a hockey fan, it was pretty crazy and exciting. Quickly, I don't know, Harry, what you want to touch on here. The one NHL thing, I was watching the Flames and Senators, or no, Flames and Sens the other night, whatever. No, sorry, Flames and Sharks. Dustin Wolf is, I had no idea, he's from the Bay Area. And he grew up idolizing Evgeny Nabokov.
Yeah. Yeah, he grew up in the garlic capital of the world, Gilroy, California, also home of Jeff Garcia. And I remember when Wolf made his debut last year, or was it the year before? I got Jeff Garcia to do a video that we ran on our TV broadcast, just kind of saying from one Gilroy native to another. They didn't know each other, but they're two big names in this city of Calgary, both from this small town of Gilroy. They have this garlic festival every year. That's a big deal. And yeah, it's about 40 minutes outside of San Jose. He grew up going to the Sharks games. And as the story goes, when his mom was pregnant, she would go to Sharks games and he would kick like crazy during the game. At least that's her story anyway. Like the stimulus of the arena, the noise, whatever, he would go wild. Maybe he was kick saving a beauty in his mom's womb. I don't know what the story is, but it makes the story good. Because also, if people forget, like Dustin Wolf, everyone questioned his size for years. That's not even an issue anymore. Like that's an old story. He's clearly an NHLer, but the Flames drafted him. I think it was the second last draft pick of the entire draft. So him and his mom were in the crowd, and they thought it wasn't going to happen, and they were on the verge of just being devastated because he was, he went to the draft and everything, and then they called him, took a flyer on him, second last pick.
Jeez.
And the emotion of that moment, the mom, the son, everyone absolutely bawling, made the general manager of the Flames cry. Everybody was crying, just kind of comprehending this realization of a very unlikely dream for a guy who's only 5'11", still only about 155 pounds. So it's an amazing story, and people are really cheering for him. I'm glad that he's doing so well. So when he got that win the other day, in San Jose, you could see they showed him after the game. He had his arms outstretched. It's not the first time he's won there. It's the second time, but it still means the world to him because all his friends and families were there at Christmas watching him play.
As a good Ukrainian boy, I want to go to Gilroy now. If it's the garlic capital of, I might have to check this place out. Okay, hey, it's not often you should go in there and interview young Maddox Schultz or go shake his hand, meet his dad. They're unbelievable. He just scored that overtime winner. Pat Canadians come back and beat Pittsburgh. And it's not that I want to cut you off early, Eric, but you guess who we're talking to next after the break? One of the greatest coaches in Canadian hockey history internationally. Dave King.
Dave King. Of course. Yeah. I should have known that when you introduced him that way.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Say hi to Dave for me. Yeah, he's a good man.
Okay, right on. Go back in there.
And by the way.
What's up?
I have a question for you before I get back in there. You referred earlier to the garlic region, the garlic band, the garlic area in Saskatchewan.
Garlic belt.
What were you? What the hell's that? I don't know.
That Yorkton, Kenora area, it's the garlic belt. There's lots of good Ukrainian people. Ituna, Saskatchewan. You just need to come here one day, man. You take that jacket off.
We're doing a road trip.
Yeah, you got it. You got to have clothes that you can put in a bag and tighten up, and then it's good stuff, man. You haven't had pierogies unless you've had pierogies around that area. So we'll.
Oh my God. Okay.
We'll get you out. Bring your skates too. We'll
you should be in charge of tourism.
Yeah.
You're the tourism minister.
Garlic belt tourism.
Garlic belt. I love it.
Exactly. Let's go. Shot of vodka for everybody. Daj Božja. Okay. See you later, Eric.
See you, boys. Cheers.
That was our NHL. Happy New Year. NHL Insider Eric Francis. It's brought to you by Southie Mainline Chrysler. They still have the holding the payments for 90 days up until tomorrow, and $13,000 off select 2024 Ram 1500s and 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokees. The all-new King of Trucks, Southie Mainline Chrysler in Southie, Saskatchewan, worth the drive every time. Time for a quick break. When we come back, we are going to be chatting with the man himself, Mr. Dave King. It's the all-new Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com.